All right, guys. Well, welcome back to the Post-Brain 360 podcast. This is going to be part 2 of solution building with our special guest, Mark Eastman. I, as you know, am one of your hosts, Scott Cragg, along with the dashing, the beautiful.
Hey, good morning, Scott.
Yeah, man, sporting the shirt, the hair's looking great.
Yeah, I'm just ready to go straight into this, you know. Mark's got so much good stuff to share.
It is. Yeah. So where we left off, guys, is I asked one of the things is what's your 3 things to avoid, and so we're jumping right into it. So Mark, the 3 things to avoid, and man, let's just go.
Okay. Well, and I talked about this in the earlier there as far as the silver bullets. I would say that one of the things to avoid is that expectation of downloading some program online is going to be that, end all to fix all your problems, because you just need to have that expectation. So I would avoid the unrealistic expectations. Another thing I think that's important to avoid is putting cash over customers. I mean, I think customers, they need to be the focus of what we do. There have been too many cases where I've seen contractors just take the job by the horns and tell the customer what they want, which is not a very good business model. I think it's just, I think it puts the priority in the wrong place. So I think those are 2 things that is important to just offer that service over price. So.
Oh, that's so good.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, we've got a little nugget for our business there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have to consider the customer over the cash, and we sometimes have to get those decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good nugget. We'll probably come back to that. I'm sure we'll be referencing a lot of what you're sharing here, Mark, on future podcasts, because I can absolutely see, we talked about that a little bit, where, I think sometimes our customers do want us to get into the price wars, pricing against our competitors, and that's not what we want to do, right? We want to put the customer over the cash. So nugget, we're going to come back to that.
Yeah. That other nugget though I want to mention too is that magic solution that's just going to fix all your problems that Mark mentioned. I mean, whether it's software, whatever it is, look, there's no easy street, all right? It just doesn't exist. I mean, we live in a society where everybody, I want to take that pill. I want to take that shot because I want to lose weight. No, you got to stop eating like you're eating. You got to start exercising, and you got to put in the hard work. Yeah. This is no different, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and and Mark, you mentioned falling. Just like, I'm not taking light of your situation, but guys, don't think you got to go fall to get inspired, right?
Yeah. I wrote a blog post about that, and it was like getting hit upside the head with a board. I mean, that was the wake up call. And, it was just one of those things where after the accident, I mean, I was very lucky or fortunate that I literally do not remember any of the accident. I mean, it happened on a Thursday afternoon. We were boxing a second floor wall. I was on a plank 7 feet off the ground or whatever, and they handed up the sheet of wafer board. And the next thing I remember was a Sunday afternoon waking up in the hospital in Wichita. And I do not remember any of that. So that was very fortunate. But out of that, I was like, what would have happened had I broke my back and couldn't work, couldn't physically go back into construction, which is part of what prompted the thinking about how could I help other builders? How could I take what I know over the years of experience, and that's where we then kind of came up with solution building, and that was kind of that way to find the solutions to build better businesses, and took some of the tools that I had been using and we put them in a digital toolbox, and those include things like a proposal system, which is all the tools you need and the instructions how to use it. Then there's contracts, which is a follow-up to proposal. I mean, literally the number of contractors that I have seen take a napkin and write on there, we're going to build you a new house and it's going to cost you, X number of dollars. And there's their contract they have. I mean, that's the only kind of thing. And then when the customer doesn't get what they wanted, they don't, there's this problem then. And so our system breaks it down into several different areas, and it's very customer friendly in reading on what it includes, what they can expect, what they can't expect, and gives a dollar amount to all. Because the other thing is you throw a price out there of $250,000 to build a new house, and the customer has a vision what they think that's going to include, and then when it comes around, or they get that price and they go, $250,000, I didn't expect it to be that. Well, you break it down by the different pieces and you go, okay, well, there's 1,000 and there's 2,000 and there's 500, and okay, I see where the 250 comes from. So then change orders are another thing that I think is a real problem. Contractors don't do change orders. They just, customer says, yeah, I want to go ahead and change that out. Instead of doing that, let's do this. Contractor knows it's going to cost more. Really good example of that was years ago when I was in that partnership, and he and I were meeting with the customer, and our contracts then included an allowance for entrances. So, or sewer, the distance that we would, because we didn't know exactly where the electric meter was going to be set in relation to where the house was going to be. So we had a 50-foot allowance in that. We're meeting with this customer. I can remember this. Basement's poured, and here's the meter pole, and the customer says, this is more than 50 feet. Is that going to be a problem? My partner said, nope, that's not a problem. We can do that, no problem. We got done, and we charged them for an additional 100 feet or whatever it was, and the customer was livid. You said it wasn't going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with that whole, they meant is it going to cost more? It's what the customer was asking. Not is it going to be a problem?
Right.
My partner's like, we could do it 1,050 feet. It's not going to be a problem, and we could just dig it farther. So there was that miscommunication, and that is the kind of thing to try and avoid. And that's part of what the proposal system and the contract and the proposed change orders and all of that will help with all of that. And then there are tools like the savings transfer sheet, which is just a simple spreadsheet, but you can set it up how you want to, put different things in there. We have other tools that we haven't gotten the toolbox yet, that we're working on putting in there. And those include some things that will track how your profitability is, whether or not you're, are you, one of the things I was talking to one of my customers, a coaching customer about, he kept coming in way over his budget. I mean, it was he was losing money. And I was showing him using this proposal system that we average coming in at 25% under our budget every year, all across the board. Now there's some that'll be, but that is part of that, having a system in place and having that where you can track that and go, okay, I can see where we're making money, where we're losing money. What we designed a tool for him that's a labor tracker, so he can see. He had no idea what his actual costs in labor were compared to what his proposals were. So those are the kinds of things that we have in the toolbox and are putting in there. One of the things that we're currently working on is a proposal journal, or excuse me, a planning journal, so that it's part of that intentional planning. It's being prepared for what's coming. It's looking ahead and going, okay, what do I want to accomplish this year, this quarter, this month? What do I need to do to accomplish that? Breaking that down then into daily routines and tracking that. And that's going to be a tool that we're going to add in our toolbox. And we plan to make that a physical opportunity too, that people can have if they want them, and in a 90-day planning journal. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
Yeah, man. Wow, Mark, I've got butterflies, right? You talk about change orders. Oh gosh, guys, if you don't understand change orders, they're so important. And you said it in part one, Mark, about customer over cash. Here's the thing, and thank you for the example of a customer said, "Hey, can you? It's going to be a little further than 50 feet. Is that going to be a problem?" No, they understood one thing. You understood something different. No one had any ill will. They weren't trying to take advantage of you. You weren't trying to take advantage of them. It was an honest conversation. It was an honest understanding from two sides. But then on the backside, it was going to cost them money or was going to cost you money, right? And so chances are you both ate some or whatever. And you can have this wonderful experience up until something like that. A change order, and I did this, guys. Like, I've used change orders. You have to sign it before I do anything. And if there's any frustration, it happens there. Well, we got to pay additional. Yeah, have the conversation then.
Yeah.
And maintain the relationship.
Yeah.
Versus afterwards, and you both lose something, right? Man, that's good.
It's a form of communication too, right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
Communication is key. It really is the one biggest issue is a lack of communication.
The one other thing I grabbed there is you were talking a little bit about what I do or used to do as job costing. So I didn't do it at the end of the year based on everything. I did it per job. Like, I want to understand each project. I want to understand my profitability, my wins and my losses. Because if you can dissect that and get it fixed right then and there, those same issues or, wins, you can make that adjustment a lot sooner. And so I do think job costing is really important. And the one other thing I want to throw in there real quick, and I won't go deep on it, is we're talking about a client contract. Guys, that could look totally different if you're just a shop builder business, a garage, backyard, barn business, or if you're a residential home barn-do business. And if you're both, you may have to, I would recommend a different contract. So you can have one contract for the shop side, but you need a different contract to protect yourself and your business if you're building homes for some people, right?
Yeah. That's great. And I think, Mark, we're going to talk obviously about your toolbox at a high level. And guys, not that we're setting you up, but we are, right? We're working toward an offer for you guys that you're going to love. So we're getting there. And I'm excited that we're so close, right? So stay just a little bit longer. We're going to get there. Something else I love about this idea of job costing. Josh said it. There's no magic bullet. There's not something you can do that's just going to make it easy. You've got to put in the work. But here's the thing. As you put in the work, there are aspects of your job that become easier. So, for example, if you're using a job costing sheet, let's say you do 5 30 by 40 by 10s, and they've got an overhead door and a walk door, dirt work, concrete, unfinished, shell. Well, you did 5 of those, and you did job costings on all 5 of those, and you averaged it out, and you're like, okay, so based on the 5 builds, and it's a 3-man crew within a 100-mile radius, that costs me X dollars per square foot. Well, now in the future, you don't have to go back and figure that building. You can, off the top of your head, 30 by 40 by 10, 3 guys to build it within 100 miles, that is $20 a square foot. Like, if you get to that point, well, guess what? Your due diligence of putting in the time up front now paid off to being more efficient and quicker in how you do things.
Well, the other thing I was just going to say to that is, and it's something that I think be careful on, and I use this example a lot. People ask that question, what's it going to cost to do this? And that's where, back to the proposal system is, there are so many variances and variations and different things. So, I tell people it's like looking at 2 bags of groceries, paper bags of groceries sitting there. What do they cost? Well, it depends on what's in them. If it's full of some filet mignon, it's going to cost more than if it's full of some toilet paper.
Right.
And it's that thing where, it depends on what kind of flooring you're going to put in, what kind of windows you're going to put in, what kind of, countertops are you going to put in, what quality of cabinets are you going to put in, how many windows are you going to put in. All of those things factor in, and that's where having that system where I can go, okay, I'm putting in these windows at this price, and it costs this much per window to set them, and I'm putting in this many of them, and then that puts my markups on it, and it gives me a number to give to the customer. It also gives me a budget number to share to my subcontractors. I also take that proposal system, I take the scope of work, and I can pull the numbers out, and then I have a scope of work to give to the subcontractors and say, here's what I expect you to do. Here's what the customer assigned for you to do. Make this happen the way it is spelled out. Don't be cutting corners. And it's all back to that communication again and being very clear, and everybody coming out, as well as can be expected, and happy when it's done. So,
man, Mark, I'm going to drive all the way to Kansas and just take you to lunch. You just mentioned another big one, scope of work. Oh my gosh, guys, scope of work is so important. And here's the thing. They are trying to fill these things out, right? Like I did it, and it's like, oh, I got a scope of work. I got to type out where I want my approaches and how. But it goes back to what we said about the customer who said, hey, can you go? It's going to be a little further than 50 feet. It's the same thing. Like if you're subbing, if you've got people doing work for you, hey, can you do that? Oh, yeah, I do that. Like, man, you got to have a tight scope of work, because here's the thing. I had to go look at a job last week. I can't go into the details, but I can share this part with you. The contractor, it had nothing to do with us, but while on the site, there was a concrete issue. I don't know if there was a scope of work or not, right? But I use that as an example that if there was a scope of work, this contractor now has a very simple, hey, you said you were going to do this. This is the expectation, is that I've got a flat slab without bubbles. I mean, that's the expectation, right? That's on you. So now as a contractor, that gives me, not that I want to say, I hate the word sue, recourse maybe, but an understanding. Hey, this is what I contracted you to do. This is what I paid for. This is what you said you were going to offer. We both signed it. That's not what I got. So what's the remedy?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So these scope of works, man, they're good. And here's the thing. You'll do enough of them, and you can kind of create some templates per se. And Mark, maybe your scopes are templated somewhat. So I want to hand that back over to you, because I think that's a valuable. Man, this is good.
And to what you were saying a while ago, if a person is doing repetitive kind of work, yeah, scopes of work, I mean, can be templated to where it's just then a matter of figuring out the specifics as far as dimensions and so on and so forth. And it's so that's one process. And the other thing I would say is, whatever it is that works for a specific contractor, that's part of where the coaching and consulting part comes in. It's that figuring out what it is that you as a building contractor need to make your business work better, and that's part of what we do. And then with that is, like I said a while ago, when we were did that one spreadsheet for this customer of ours that was wanting to figure out his labor costs, and so that's another important part of that, is just being able to figure out what it is, because not every contractor needs exactly the same thing. And so that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And obviously we talked a little about this offline before we started recording. So it's your word. It's not like Scott's going, oh, you mentioned coaching and consulting. You're a mentor, right? You have been doing this long enough that you have put yourself in a position to offer resources. They're not free. You shouldn't do it for free unless you choose to. And mentorship. And man, guys, I think that's one of the other things I love about bringing Mark on here, and why I made it known to you that, he didn't come to us as a customer. It's not like, oh, Mark's buying from Burrows, let's do this. He doesn't buy from Burrows, okay? You have the opportunity here, whether it's Mark or someone else. I want you to kind of hear this. Take the opportunity to find a business mentor. And again, I know how it is. You get going, you get busy, and you don't think, you're like, Scott, I'm building, and I got a family. Like, I don't have time for all this. Make time. Okay? Make time. Guys, it's hard to go on vacation, right? Oh, I can't go on vacation. I can't go on vacation. I've been there, done that. And then I just bite the bullet and I go on vacation. And then I come back. And you know what? I'm more productive, more profitable, more rested, clearer in my thoughts. I do a better job. But I have to convince myself to take a break in order to do better. And so I would say, as we kind of start bringing this ship to port, harbor, not port, this ship to harbor, you got to do some of these things. You got to pause to manage your business. And so I love what Mark is saying here, and we're going to let him wrap this up by going a little more in depth and to saying some things that he's working on with the toolbox. But that's just kind of what I'm hearing. I love this from Mark. And find a mentor. They are worth their weight in gold. Mark, back to you.
Well,
Take us home.
you were talking about the ships, and that took me to a line of thinking that I think fits right in here, and it's burning the boats. It's that if you want to change things, you've got to change things. And if you give yourself an out, and you can get back on the ship and sail back home,
that's good.
You're going to do it. So when you hit the beach, burn the thing, and you know that you've got to go forward. You can't go backwards. So that would be that intentional action, I think, that you got to do. So yeah, it's we're working on new things all the time, and I like I say, working on that planning journal, and hope to have it out here within the next month, so that it can be out for the first of the year. And also in the process of writing a book about this very thing. It's a fictional book about more or less my story. It's that the struggles that contractors go through, that we've all been down this road of all of these same things. It's like they're not anything new, but it's that turning point then, and getting things on the other side, and that it's just that build process that we talked a while ago about. It's that, that's kind of how the book is going to be arranged, is in that being aware, understanding, intentional action, learning, and the delivery of the dream. So that ultimately it comes down to the choice: are we going to do it or not? And you were talking about the vacations and the different things. I mean, it's all that. It's knowing who you are. Are you going to do it this way? You're going to do it that way. And if you like where you're at and want to wallow in the bottom of that rut, just keep doing the way you are. So.
Right. Well, here's what we're going to do. So we're at 23 minutes here. We want to be cognizant of that, and also of Mark's time as well. So here's what's going to happen, guys. So I told you there's a teaser. Man, I hope you have found value in this. I have. I'm going to walk away from stuff in this conversation with Mark. It's so good, and it's also encouraging, right? Because it's stuff that I have done in the past. It's stuff that I've done in previous careers. So it's that confidence, right? So if you're doing some of this stuff that Mark is already is talking about, man, like, I'm not going to clap loud because there's a microphone, but man, I'm not patronizing and clapping. Guys, that is.
I've been waiting for that opportunity. I was just waiting for it.
That is why Josh is my cohort in crime. Well done, Josh. Man, I just earned a super sticker. All right. So good job. But here's what we're going to do. So, man, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for sharing your story and these tools that you've worked hard on. Guys, we're gonna bring Mark to Tulsa, and we're gonna put together a workshop. We're still working on some of the details on this. And here's what I want you to know: is we're cognizant of you, and you got to go out there and build it, and you got to provide. So we want to try to do this when the weather's just yucky, when you can't really go build. Much rather sit inside somewhere warm and drink coffee. So we're going to put this together, and we're going to bring Mark down and have an awesome morning workshop. We'll get there probably at 8. We'll go through the morning serve you guys some lunch. Like, we'll figure that out, right? It's still in the works. And let Mark share more detail, let you see some of these tools that he's talking about. When Mark told me kind of what he charges, it's this is doable, guys. This is so doable, and it's worth every penny. Okay, it's worth every penny. So we're going to do that. Here's what I'm going to ask from you. I'm going to put my email address on here, and if you're like, dude, I'm down with some time with Mark Eastman, I want to do that, I need you to email me, because here's the thing. In order for me to book a facility and a venue, I need to know how many people are coming. So we'll provide more ways to register for that, but man, help us get started off on the right foot. It'll be on the screen. If you're not watching this, I'm going to go ahead and spell it out, because if you're not watching, you won't see that. But email me, Scott, SCOTTC, as in Charles, at Burrows, BURROWS, hyphen, that's that, slash, supply.com. Say, heard the podcast, heard about Mark, man, you guys do it, and I'm there. That lets us plan better, okay? Mark, I can't thank you enough for joining us, for being our first guest, for what you've shared. Our industry needs this. Our industry needs people with your experience that are willing to share it, because this generation we have, this is a dying art, and we need people like you that are willing to invest in the younger generation trying to start businesses. So I'm going to give you and Josh the last word. I'll shut up, and then I'll close us out.
Man, that was a lot, Scott. No, I'm just kidding. Also, I will, in addition to, go ahead and reach out to Scott, but we will, like he said, we'll send out ways to register. So we'll send out some emails to your inbox, and we'll have conversations and make sure we get plenty of opportunities to register for this event that we're going to have in a couple months, probably. And Mark, it was great having you on here, and I've got a lot of little golden nuggets here, so I appreciate it.
Well, I would just say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for, because there's certainly, as you said, it is something that is needed. And I think most of the guys out there doing this kind of stuff know that they need it. It's just that making that decision to do it. And so hopefully we can help some of those guys turn things around.
Fantastic. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us for Post Frame 360, and we'll see you next time. Be well.